What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Who You Got with
Melo.
and Brado. On this episode, we're going to be talking NBA. The All-Star break finished up. Now we're 3/4 way through the season, right, Melo? It's been a long season, but
Oh
we're getting
yeah,
through it.
we've been neglecting our baby. The one we started off with NBA playoffs. Obviously, it's a long season, so we decided to put that on the back burner.
That's true.
In response for our NFL and our UFC fights.
Of course, man. We love NFL, we love fighting, but NBA is just another
top notch.
It's the best, It's like some of the best entertainment you can get on the planet, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, that's our favorite sport.
For sure.
Both of us.
That's for sure. I mean,
we talked about that in our first episode, which is why we decided to start with the playoffs, because it was a perfect time.
Exactly. I mean, we both played a little bit of basketball ourselves too, so we both love it. So what are some of the topics we're going to be getting into today?
Yeah, so now 10 months removed from our first episode, we are right back, about to be back in the playoffs. I think about 15 games out. So pretty much, like we said, we haven't really been here for most of the season.
True.
So we're going to go ahead and try to talk about what's been going on in the season, standings, what's been going on with that, East and West, obviously.
Yeah.
A couple of different topics we want to talk about. We have to talk about Philly versus Brooklyn.
Of course.
Two trades. Who won the trade?
Big trade of the season, pretty much.
Pretty much the biggest trade you're going to get. At this point, no one else is going to trade a top-notch player for another top-notch player.
Oh, for sure. I mean, honestly, the Ben Simmons and Harden trade definitely one of the biggest of the NBA that's ever had.
For sure.
We'll definitely get into that. Yeah.
Then we definitely got to talk about Zion Williamson.
Ooh.
Reevaluating him, how he's been so far, and honestly, what we expect as NBA fans to get from him in the next coming years. So that's definitely a topic that we have to talk about.
Yeah, it's a huge topic we definitely got to talk about. Yeah.
And last two topics I definitely want to touch on are two top contenders. The Heat, are they a serious contender, number one in the East? And then obviously the West, we got the Suns, number one. But the question I want to ask is how far can they go with CP3 out?
Right.
Basically the rest of the season. So those are the topics I definitely want to touch on today, and we're here for it.
That's for sure. I mean, it's been a crazy first half of the season, and I mean, even going into All-Star break, we kind of wanted to wait until after the All-Star break and after all the trades happened to get into another episode in the NBA, because we knew that there was going to be a lot of craziness that was going to happen. We knew a lot of people were going to get moved around in the trade deadline, and a lot of people were going to show out in the All-Star game as well. And obviously, Steph Curry got the All-Star MVP. He obviously balled out, got, I think it was the record for obviously three-pointers made in a game, but obviously in the All-Star game as well. And congrats to him too. I mean, the All-Star break was
game.
It was pretty. Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the cherry on top of the All-Star break, because most of the other competitions they were okay to watch. I mean, a lot of people.
Basura.
Yeah, I mean, most people will say that. I like the skills competition for the young guys. The rookies.
I don't like the teams they put together for the skills competition.
I agree for
the Antetokounmpo brothers. Honestly, had no.
Right. I didn't like how they structured that second skills competition. I like the one that they did with the rookies and the sophomores. That was a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, the 3-point contest. When you don't got Steph, Clay. When you don't got guys like Damian Lillard in there, I mean, it's not.
I actually love the 3-point contest because
I know
Karl Anthony Towns has already been considered one of, if not the best shooting big men of all time, not just in our generation. So the fact that he got a 3-point championship and against someone like Trae Young.
I mean, it's definitely good to have under his belt. It's definitely a little notch to have under his belt, but. I mean, as far as the last round was nice. He definitely came out and he had to shoot out the lights, and he had to get over 24 I think to win it, and he did it. He did his thing. For a big man, it's huge. A big man hasn't won since 2007 2008.
Yeah.
I think since Dirk Nowitzki.
Sure it was Dirk.
Yeah, so it's been a while for a big man to win a 3-point contest, but I mean, the dunk contest was nothing to really even highlight about. I mean, it's not like the days where you used to see Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon. I mean, even back in the old days, I mean, Kobe did
half of the dunks from the last
Carter,
dunk contest before the last two.
Yeah.
That any of those would have won.
Right. This one for sure. Yeah. This one, it just didn't have any like moments that you could look back on. Honestly, they were just
the winning dunk wasn't even a dunk.
Yeah, they were average dunks, but then getting from that, going into after the All-Star break, going into the season, back into it, a lot of people, knew that there was going to be trade talk happening, and obviously one of the biggest things was definitely going to be Philly and seeing what they were going to do with Ben Simmons, because a lot of people didn't know what was going to happen. But going into after the All-Star break, there was a few teams moving up in the ladder board in the rankings, and you want to look at like some of the rankings, like who's on top of the West and who's on top of the East,
Obviously, 3/4 into the season, I think we dropped the episode beginning of the season, and it was one of the main topics of that episode was the surprises. Who's on top, who's on bottom, top teams not where they're supposed to be, supposedly bad teams high in the rankings. So yeah, let's definitely go over these rankings and see what we have over here, and obviously talk about them. So started off in the East. We got Miami at first, Milwaukee second, Philadelphia with their newly acquired Harden, and they lost Seth for that, so that's one thing.
They lost Seth and Drummond, that was a big loss in Drummond.
Exactly. So having a backup. So you got Philly at third, Chicago at fourth, Boston at fifth. Big up for my C's.
Hey. Moving up in the rankings,
yes, sir,
and it seems like Chicago's actually moving down in the rankings. They weren't first before.
They were one of the big surprises.
They were.
Another big surprise that started off is our sixth place team, Cleveland. Seventh is Toronto. Eighth, Brooklyn. Another big surprise. They were supposed to be up there, one of the juggernauts, but now they got Ben Simmons, lost Harden, so we'll see how that plays out.
Had a lot of injuries, and of course, Kyrie vaccine thing.
Exactly. So. We got Charlotte at 9th. Atlanta Hawks at 10th. Had a playoff spot last year. Don't look too good for them.
It doesn't, but that those play-in spots, like that looks crazy. Just those teams that you just mentioned right there, like those are teams that were in the playoffs last year, and they were in the top 4 in the playoffs, and now they're fighting for that. They're fighting for that play-in spot.
And then under them, you got Washington, New York, Indiana, Detroit, and Orlando.
Right.
So that's the East. And before
let's talk about the East a little bit. I mean, there's definitely like some surprises I definitely want to talk about. I mean, can I just start it off with? I mean, one of the biggest surprises to me, I mean, to a lot of people, would have to be the New York Knicks. I mean, the New York Knicks, last year they made the playoffs as a 4 spot. You thought, Tom Thibodeau was going to do some things over there. They had Randall there. They had a nice
most improved player of the year.
Of course, they had a nice young core that they were, moving towards. Obviously,
2 good pieces added in the offseason.
Exactly. You got R.J. Barrett. You had Fournette, who was a nice piece. You thought you were moving in the right direction. Coming into this season now, they did try to pick up Kemba Walker, and a lot of people, thought that was going to actually help them because they needed a point guard. They actually did need a point guard, but that just imploded in the beginning of the season, and then he started having to get benched, and after that, you haven't really seen him since play, and they pretty much imploded. You just pretty much said that they're out of a playoff spot at this moment. They're 12. They're 12th right now, and they're 4.5 games at this moment with 15 games left out of a playoff spot. But with them, what do you think about the Knicks? I mean, I think it's a huge surprise that they're doing so bad with this pretty much the same team that they had last year.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't actually say same team because I thought that not only were they pretty decent last year, played good, obviously got exposed a lot of their ball movement in the playoffs, so you can't just rely on Randall in the high post. But then picking up Kemba and picking up Fournier was supposed to make them better.
Yeah, they needed shooters. Like last year, they
got a shooter in Fournier, and they got another ball handler, a true point. Someone who could keep the ball in his hand and Kemba, not really a true point, but at least someone with that size. So they actually were supposed to get better. And it's funny because they were supposed to be what the Bulls ended up being. Picking up a couple pieces, a bunch of names that's like, all right, some of them have decent, resumes to them, but really it's just a bunch of thrown players, thrown together players with a couple young ones.
Yeah, players that other teams didn't really want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would expect the Knicks to at least be in playoff contention. Not only that, but definitely top 6. So seeing where they are right now, they're and then at this point, coaches and players are having beefs. Coaches benching players. At this point, the only good thing about their season, truthfully, has been that I feel like RJ's actually been.
RJ's been playing amazing the last 10 games as well. The last 15 since the All-Star break. I mean, he's had like 28 points a game, so he's definitely played amazing. And I also think that another big piece that they did get was Cam Reddish. You know, they got him in the trade from Atlanta.
Yeah, from Atlanta, that's right.
But I think that could be to a bigger point, and I think they might be looking into the future. You know, we're going to talk about this topic later, but could they be looking at the trio of, you know, R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, and Zion, the old Duke trio? Bring him back on the team. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the problem with the Knicks. Like, they always look to the next thing, the future. They're never looking into, like, right now, you know, what's going on. Right? Like, they had a good core last year, you know, R.J. Barrett and you know, you had Randall doing the pick and roll. They were doing pretty good in that pick and roll game. And RJ, he needed to step up with his shooting. And this year, I think that he did. And they got pieces like Fournier, so you would think that they would actually move up in the standings. But, you know, they're not doing it. And, I mean, yeah, other teams are getting better. But, I mean, they're getting passed up by teams like Toronto and Cleveland. And, you know, even Charlotte's better than them at this point. So it's like it's tough to see them, you know.
No, 100%. They should definitely, like I said, they should have been a lot better.
Right.
And they, I felt like, would have had way more potential to be what the Bulls are.
Right.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah,
the misfits thrown together.
Right.
You said they may have been trending downward, but they started off so hot they just led the East for most of the season.
True.
And now they're still gonna more than likely make the playoff.
Yeah, for sure.
The Balzac has been playing pretty damn good with the addition of a couple good 3D players. They're playing great defense. So that's another team where no one expected nothing from them really this year. I mean, yeah, DeRozan is DeRozan. He's gonna score.
Yeah, they didn't expect
scoring on the Spurs, and they couldn't do nothing really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no one literally expected if anything, everyone thought that the Spurs had a better roster set up around DeRozan. When it comes to DeAndre Murray, at some point you had Aldridge. You know what I'm saying? Like you had
a better core. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So now that the Bulls are this hot, and we all thought it was a fluke. And at this point, yeah, they could turn downward. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, they're contenders in the East. Obviously, the three that I just mentioned, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan. Then you got Vucevic. That's a real great core right there.
Yeah, it is.
And 4 of them has been playing real great.
That's for sure.
That's some team that I didn't expect to be where they are. But now that they're there, I think they're serious.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I like that you brought them up because it definitely matches up with the Knicks too, because the Chicago team is what happens when you get a bunch of players that other teams don't want and it works together. Yeah, like, I mean, obviously Lonzo Ball, like, people didn't want him. Even Vucevic, they wanted to get rid of him in Orlando. You know, obviously DeMar DeRozan, you just said, you know, from the Spurs. You know, and this actually worked. Even Caruso's been playing pretty good for them, you know, on the bench. I know he's been out for a few games, but, you know, he's going to get back into it. And they look like they could be a scary team playing in the playoffs for sure. I know they were first for as far as the rankings in the first, like, 30, 40 games of the season. But the last 20 games, they've been kind of, you know, slowly moving down. And honestly, a lot of that is because Milwaukee's been playing good, like really good. And they are losing Caruso right now. He's been out for about, like, 2.5 weeks. The last, like, 10 games he's been out, Alex Russo. So, you know, they're missing a few pieces. You know, Patrick Williams is out for them too. He's their backup center. So
yeah,
they got a few pieces that they're missing. But other than that, you know, I think that they're definitely a team that's trending up, and they're a team that looks like they can stay together for a while.
No, for sure. Obviously, as long as they can keep that young core, that's a great young core to have. Because at the end of the day, you want two-way players,
right?
And that's a great offensive and defensive lineup. They brought back the mid game. They tried to defend the paint, and then they defended through.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's a great team.
They defend very well. They're a very good defending team. You got any other surprises like in the East? Definitely
I'll talk about the Cavs.
Yeah.
How are they still sitting in top 6? That's the one where I still don't believe it.
Hey man,
they can't win in a series. They can't win a series.
No, man, that's a young squad. They have nothing to lose. Yeah, that's the team that got nothing to lose. Like they didn't think they were going to be there.
Nah, not at all. But I still don't think that this is a team that can get past the first round unless they get someone.
Depends on what type of matchup they get. I mean, it all depends on the rankings they get. I mean, if they end up at 5th, then they're probably not gonna do it because they'll have to play one of the top 4 big ones in the East, which is
not happening.
Miami, Milwaukee, Philly,
unless they move up,
unless
they move up, they're not beating top 5 right now. They're not beating Chicago. They're not beating Boston. They're not beating Philly. Right. They're not beating Miami. They're not beating the Bucks.
I agree. It's still a great story. I think the best matchup for them would probably be a team like Chicago. A team like Chicago because it'll be lower scoring games with them, and they both play defense. The one thing about Cleveland is obviously they got a Rookie of the Year candidate, and Evan Mobley, who's been playing amazing. And congrats to him for balling out like the last like 30 games. A lot of people were just looking at Cade Cunningham as runaway favorite this year with the Rookie of the Year award, but Evan Mobley's definitely been balling out, and I think that their core is very good. They have a very young core, very young team, and it's no like it's a reason why LeBron even gave him a shout out. Obviously, he obviously doesn't play there, but even he knows that they have a very young core that's pretty good and decent, and they're definitely going to be around for a while. That core, they're still going to be around for years together. So I definitely, agree with you that this team might not win a playoff series, but it's a great story this year.
No, for sure. But besides the teams we just talked about, the rest of the East is pretty much where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Toronto, obviously losing Lowry. Was a miss, but they were supposed to be middle of the pack.
For sure. I mean, maybe a lot of people didn't think that they were gonna make the playoffs. They were gonna be around that play-in tournament, and they're 7th right now, so they're a little bit above what they're supposed to be. The Brooklyn Nets, I don't really want to say too much about them because honestly,
they haven't had a whole team and they don't have
exactly. I mean, and obviously there was a trade.
Joe Harris is out too, so you can't. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you were supposed to say they are supposed to be on top.
Right.
But I feel like that conversation deserves.
But even Harden, when he was on the squad, and Harden, Kyrie, and Durant, them 3 only were on the same game like 4 times this year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. And so hopefully now like things with this trade, it changed up, the momentum with everyone. And I mean, you kind of seen they just played Philly just recently, and they were pretty much almost at full strength, other than Simmons. So you saw what they could do. They beat up on Philly. It was like a 30-point win. So when they're good, they're great.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
As far as them, but yeah, that's definitely for the East. I definitely agree. The rest of the teams are pretty much where they're supposed to be though. What about the West though?
So the West is a whole mess, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about
it. The East is looking a lot more secure on who's who. Like you would honestly I'll be honest.
I mean, pretty much.
There's a couple teams besides the top 2, 3 teams in the West. I think the couple top teams in the East could really contend against anyone in the West. And that's a crazy thing to say. So in the West, we got Phoenix in 1st, Memphis in 2nd, Golden State in 3rd, Utah in 4th, Dallas in 5th, Denver in 6th. Crazy. There's a couple of names you thought we would have heard by now.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota in 7th. 8th, we have LA Clippers.
There we go.
9th, we have LA Lakers.
Man.
10th, New Orleans, which I expect them to be dead last.
That's the play-in.
Yeah.
The 10th spot is the last spot for the play-in.
After that, we got Portland, San Antonio, Sacramento, Oklahoma, and obviously dead last we got Houston.
Right, Houston. And, man, so there's a lot to get into, to dive into there. I mean, there's definitely a lot of teams that pretty much stayed around with what they were doing in the first half of the season, like Phoenix and Golden State.
Yeah.
They're pretty much.
Honestly, most of the West stayed exactly where it was.
For sure. I mean, you could say Memphis.
Didn't expect it to.
Right. Memphis definitely moved up from what they were supposed to be. Memphis was. I mean, let's spend a little bit of time on them. I mean, they were definitely a surprise this year. They definitely were. Obviously, we knew Ja Morant was going to be special, but we didn't think he was going to be this special. Like, a man is a candidate for MVP right now. I know he's not going to get it. He's going to be like top 6, but he's still up there for the top 10 candidates, so that's that's special for a guy in his second year to do this.
Honestly, last year,
Third year, sorry.
Last year, them getting in with the play-in tournament, them battling Steph Curry for the last game of the season and for the play-in tournament, showing that they can compete. I was all right. Like, they're good, but I can't take them serious in the championship series against top teams in the West. This year, the whole team progressed.
For sure, they got some pieces
that's
too.
Exactly. It's not just that John Morant's showing another level. Brooks has shown another level.
Steven Adams, they got.
Steven Adams has stepped up. Jaren Jackson has been playing great this
year.
Bain has been
balling out. I think he's up there for most improved as well.
So they really have a good core. Melton's been playing good too.
Yep.
They really got a good core. And at this point, besides the Suns and besides the Golden State Warriors, they're the top three in the West. And at this point, in the 7-game series, they're beating any other team that is ranked under them.
That's a big statement. And honestly, for me,
think about it. You got what? Denver, Jazz. Jazz is going to be the toughest competition, and that's about it.
A team like Denver or Dallas. I know Dallas. They did just lose Porzingis in a trade, and we'll talk a little bit about them in a second. But I think a team like Denver, especially if they're talking about getting Murray back in the playoffs, supposedly right before the playoffs,
we'll see.
They might be a little scary. I think. You got to think about it. If they stay in the second spot, they're gonna have to play whoever's in the 7th spot. And a team like the Clippers or the Lakers could end up there, and you don't want to play the Lakers.
Yes, you do.
I mean, not the Clippers or the Clippers if they get Paul George and.
That's a big if. That's a point.
That's a huge if.
So you want to play those two. You want to play anyone in LA.
So let's talk about them real quick, then Clippers real quick, because that's a surprise for a lot of people. I mean, maybe not a huge surprise. Not because they're injured.
You got PG, Because you think about it, they were definitely top 4, top 5.
Right. Exactly.
PG was holding down that 4.
Just PG.
And then you lost Morris with that Jokic incident for a couple weeks.
Exactly. But he's back now.
And
now they're talking about PG's about to be back in the last week of the season. And Kawhi, supposedly, if they win the first series, supposedly he's going to try to come back the second series of the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, that's a huge if, of course.
That's a huge if because even then, I feel like you haven't literally not played all season.
Yeah.
Who knows what type of chemistry issues you're going to have with the team. You just coming in and having the ball in your hand.
For sure.
Everyone's going to have to take a step back.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying? That could cause a lot of things. You got Celtics issue. Jason Tatum as a rookie. And Gary Terry leading the team. Then next year when Kyrie comes back, no one knows what to do.
Something totally different.
Exactly. And then you have that happen in the middle of the playoffs. So, yeah, at this point, LA,
but 2 stars is better than none. And
yeah.
But one thing you got to give it to at least Tyronn Lue. I mean, you got to put him up for, like, Coach of the Year candidate just for having them if they make the playoffs.
If they make the playoffs and made some noise around one without Paul George and Kawhi, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge, like, ask to do that in the Western Conference with other teams that have stars on their team. Like, I mean, what's another surprising team in the West for you?
I mean, we definitely got to go ahead and give it up to the Lakers.
Right. Let's talk about that. It's probably like the biggest surprise of anybody in the NBA. It's probably the biggest NBA story. I mean, if you think about
the biggest surprise, though.
I mean, for a lot of people, on paper, they were looking like a championship caliber team. For a lot of people, they were looking like an old team. For me, I just knew it wasn't going to work. I knew that from the start. We talked about this team, in the start of the season. That's why I didn't even have the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. I had the Clippers in there, hoping that Kawhi was going to come back early in the season, and PG was just going to hopefully take this team. And then I had the Golden State Warriors, but I didn't even have Lakers in the Western Conference Finals this year because I just didn't think that the team would gel in the first year. I thought either it's going to take time or Russell Westbrook wasn't the answer. What about you?
I was very iffy on how the Russell Westbrook situation was going to work.
Right.
Early on, it looked bad. I didn't really see how it was going to turn around because I kept literally looking at it from the outside in, saying not only does it look bad, it looks exactly how it's supposed to look. Like I think this is what it is. Everyone's like, it's going to turn around, and I'm just like,
it's not going to happen. Right.
This is exactly what it is because Russell Westbrook honestly is not doing anything different. He's not having any type of a different season that he's ever had. It's just now you see what that gives you.
Right.
And now that you got two players like LeBron and AD who are getting injured,
Right.
he has to pretty much filter being the first to third to second option constantly. He don't even know how to be the second or third option.
True. He likes to be the first option, have the ball in his hands. But one thing, we can't put it all on Westbrook just because there have been times that like LeBron's been out for
a horrible season.
True.
Not horrible.
Not horrible because
AD. And we're saying horrible because it is AD.
No, I'm just saying that LeBron and AD, they've both been out. They've both been injured for a long time. So you can't put it all on Westbrook. You can't put the fault all on Westbrook. Like there's been a lot of injuries for the Lakers. Carmelo's been out. They've had a lot of guys that haven't played, and obviously like the biggest ones are LeBron. You never see LeBron miss more than obviously 5 games in a season, if any. And this year he's missed already 35 games. So
yeah, I found the time is getting to him.
Yeah.
But basically, I understand it's not all Westbrook's fault, and I definitely get that. But truthfully, the whole try to trade everything to get him, and I don't know if that was because they didn't get Dennis Schroeder.
Well, they were talking about if you remember, Buddy Hield was on the table, supposedly Kuzma for Buddy Hield, and that was the trade. Was that Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers, he had on the table, and LeBron came in, and supposedly this is what they came out and said on the barbershop when LeBron was talking with his guys, and he was saying that he wanted Westbrook. He liked the way Westbrook plays. He liked his game, and he wanted him for the Lakers. And obviously Westbrook is an LA kid, so that was a perfect fit for as far as the Showtime Lakers, wanting to be flashy. But as far as a fit with LeBron, is you got a guy in Westbrook that needs the ball in his hands. He likes to get assists as well, just like LeBron. He likes to get assists. And then you got a guy in AD that doesn't like to do pick and roll. And the one good thing that Russell Westbrook is actually good in is a pick and roll game, because then he can maneuver around it and then get dunks. And AD is not really that good at that. So it just wasn't a good fit for me. And from the beginning, I just knew it wasn't going to work, to be honest.
No, 100%. So, yeah, I don't really see any way they turn it around at this point, even with the full team.
See,
I don't see him going far in that playoffs. Sure.
I don't see him far, but here's the thing. You see him winning a playoff series. That's interesting. That's an interesting question, because they're going to be one of the bottom. They're going to have to get in through the play-in. I mean,
if they catch a Mavs or a Timberwolves, yeah.
Well, so if they get in through the play-in, they'll have to be a 7th or 8th seed, and they'll have to play either Phoenix, Memphis, or Golden State. So do you think that
they would have to go up in the rankings?
There's only 15 games left, and with 15 games left, they would have to get up 11 games in the rankings, and that's not happening. That's not happening. So they're going to have to play either Phoenix, Memphis, or Golden State. So you're saying they're not going to win one of those games? I mean, one of those series.
You heard it here.
Right? Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers will not be making it past the first round of the playoffs, even if they make it.
Wow. See, I want to see them.
The Los Angeles Lakers will not be making it past the first round of the playoffs, even if they make it.
Man, I want to see if this is a passing of the torch moment. It's going to be Memphis versus the LA Lakers, and then you get a moment with John Morant versus LeBron, and John Morant comes in and does his little dookie on him. But
I think that's what he said he wanted to dunk on the most.
I know that's his idol, obviously. I would want to dunk on my idol.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's definitely a crazy surprise for a lot of people, at least.
Yeah,
that the Lakers are not even relevant, in the playoff picture.
You got three. You got literally, at the end of the day, you got 5 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And now you got 4 Hall of Famers. I don't even know where Dwight is.
Dwight is still there, but he just
don't play.
Injured, coming in. He's still there. He's still, getting his minutes.
That's another surprise. But also, I'll give you this. Another surprise is the team that got to the freaking finals that nobody took serious. You got through by playing injured team after injured team. And now they played their ass off all year, and they've been saying first in the West, Phoenix Suns.
True.
You got to take them serious. You can't say the last year was a fluke when they've been sitting at the top of that West.
Nah, man. I mean, I think that getting to the finals, even though a lot of people said it was an easier road to the finals last year, I think getting to the finals and showing what they had, I think they definitely showed that they're a great offensively minded team. I mean, Monty Williams is a hell of a coach. Obviously, Chris Paul looks like he's getting Benjamin Button. Chris Paul
All the
getting
role
younger in
players
age,
are
bro.
overplaying their role, and it's crazy because they've been doing that for almost 2 years.
True. Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to Mikal Bridges. He's been playing very well. Obviously, Ayton's getting better and better, but Booker, he's shooting just as well. He was shooting like 52% from the field, is what I remember. And,
Booker's
that's
having a fantastic year.
Amazing season. And I think he was actually up for MVP candidate as well. I know that, he's not going to get it as well, but he's in the top 7. So, definitely a great season for them. I definitely think that they're going to get far in the playoffs, but I do think this year is a little bit different. A lot more people are in it in the West right now, and especially because people are coming back from injuries. I mean, obviously you got Golden State with, Klay Thompson's back, and who knows what's going to happen with their center. If he comes back, if Wiseman comes back, they're going to be in trouble in playoffs too. And then obviously, with Dallas too. I mean, Dallas just had a big trade, and Porzingis got traded to Washington, and you had Dinwiddie come in, and you know what? A lot of people think that they're done. They're trying to like call it a day, but to me, I don't think that's the case. I don't know.
No, they like Cleveland.
Yeah, they like Cleveland. Plus, the last 10 games, Luka's been balling out. He had 32 points, and the last 10 games, there were 8-2.
I can't believe
Yeah, that's crazy. And now you got a pretty good corner, over there in Washington. Beal and Porzingis.
Boy, that boy Beal better get out of there.
I mean, he wanted another teammate that's going to go with him in Washington. He wanted another star. Now you got a star, but the star that broke him down a little bit.
Nah, I think he still got a lot to offer. I just don't think they used him properly. And Dallas, I think the team was off. But yeah, that's basically goes to show though. I think with that trade, really like what else you have? You got a top 3. You got Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah.
And pretty much in between, you got Jazz, Mavs, Nuggets, Timberwolves under them. Like
a lot of
teams really can't compete. In full series, so I feel like you just got the top 3 teams in the playoffs in the West, and that's it.
I can see that. The only surprising team, like I said, for me would be Denver Nuggets, because I do think that if they get a guy like Murray back, I think they're going to be scary. Yeah. Michael Porter's been out the last, I don't know how many games, but he's been out a lot of the season, honestly. But, I mean, another team that's actually going to possibly make the play-in is New Orleans, and I mean, in the beginning of the season, we talked about them real quick, and
you thought they were going to be the worst team in the league.
I mean, I definitely did, because I mean,
Mccollum went over there and started fucking hooping.
I mean, they really did, and especially now, we could talk about them a little bit because they did make that trade for CJ McCollum. So that's a huge trade for them. Yeah. And I mean, New Orleans, they were 1-12 to start the season, and now they're 26-28 cents. So that's really really good. They're one game away from what the Lakers are, which is crazy. So they're pretty much playing the last 2.5 months. They've been playing at a rate probably at the top 6 of the NBA rate. Just the top 6 teams, not just their conference. So they just got a trade for CJ McCollum. He's been averaging 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 42% shooting. So that's a pretty good trade for them. So they're trying to make some noise, but there's always that one question, and that question is, Zion Williams. I don't know if you wanted to get into him a little bit, what's going to happen with Zion Williams and,
Yeah, we might as well. One of the topics we want to go over with is pretty much just reevaluating everything that's happened. And honestly, it's a great time to talk about it because a lot of what he's doing and not doing has done and hasn't done has been under the spotlight with that CJ McCollum trade.
Right.
Because now, as a lot of people think, damn, now you got CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion's back. That's actually a pretty good big 3 with a good core. So, let's talk about it. Reevaluating Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
What's in store for his future? And honestly, where do you see his career going from here? Definitely Greg Oden vibes.
Oh,
100%.
Wow.
You just really gotta say it. The man's 100.
I mean, you're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong.
6'6".
You're not wrong. Yeah.
6'6".
That's not the problem. The height is not the problem.
300.
That's the problem.
And 17 pounds. And mind you, my man's a physical freak of nature.
All right,
and at this point,
but my man's not a linebacker.
One of the strongest person in the NBA.
Right,
but it makes no sense for you to also be that damn heavy.
I get it. Like, I mean, Shaq was 352, but Shaq was 7'1". So.
No, literally, physical. Yeah, like Shaq's a whole other story. So, first thing, let me just go over. I do want to go over. The man's only played 2 seasons. This is about to be his 3rd season.
This is his 3rd season, yeah.
He hasn't even played. In the first 2 seasons, he's only played 60 or 85 games.
Yeah.
That's why I say Greg Odom.
Yeah, I mean, he played 2 less games than Greg Odom did.
Exactly.
You know, which is great in his first 3 seasons, that is.
Most of them came in the 2nd season, which he played majority of that season. 61 games.
This year he didn't play at all, right?
He didn't play at all. This year, first season, he was out most of the year. He finally came in towards the end. So first season, he came in towards the end, played 24 games. We got 22 points per game off of 58%, 42% from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. All right, thinking that's a great shot for a little small sample we got. Second year he came in, like I said, he missed about 20-something games, but at the end of the day, you still get him for the majority of the season. Upped up his minutes for a little bit, 33 minutes a game. That year.
Pretty good for a second year player. They needed to.
And he went from 22 to 27 points a game, from 58 to 61% shooting. 3-point percentage went down from 42 to 29, but you just kind of knew that was going to happen.
Right.
With that sample size. 7.2 boards, 3.7 assists, and a steal and half a block. So you definitely see the potential. You definitely could see him.
He's got great potential.
You could literally easily see him being 27, 9, and 4.
Of course, he's got great potential, but so did Greg Oden, so did Brandon Roy. Like these are like guys that have amazing potential, but is it like a type of guy that's gonna first be able to stay healthy? Second of all, is he gonna want to stay on a team like New Orleans, which a lot of people know is one of the lowest attended, as far as arenas in the NBA. And second of all, it's like one of the lowest markets, media markets. Right. They don't get many games on TV. Third of all, like he's not getting many, advertising opportunities down there like he could somewhere else. Like we were talking about before, New York made that trade for RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish, and maybe like he wants to go to a place like New York, or who knows, maybe even LA or somewhere else, But what do you think? Like, you think first, is he going to stay healthy in his career? Do you think not necessarily career, because we can't really project too far.
Right.
But especially like the next year. And
no.
Yeah.
I say no. I mean, you got to think about it. The health issues is literally his whole story, and that's going back into a small issue at Duke.
Yep.
No one really
knee injury and the ankle too.
He got an injury at Duke. Came into his rookie season, that was delayed until January because of the torn meniscus.
He didn't play any preseason,
Yeah, so he pretty much he did play preseason. I remember there was when he freaking snatched the ball from Kevin Knox.
Oh, that's true. No, he did play a few games, and then I remember they stopped putting him in like the last few games of the preseason though, because they were worried about.
And then he tweaked his knee. Season.
Remember, he tweaked his knee. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the second season, he injured his ring finger. So he pretty much missed the last few games, and it was a little bit shorter season anyway, 72 games.
So you had the COVID season, so it was in a bubble.
So he missed. He actually played most of that season, so you got a good sample size of what he was going to give you.
But it was a little broken up because it was like half a season, and then they stopped it, and that was another 30 games or 20 games, whatever. And
the second
season, he didn't get to play in the bubble.
No. I'm saying the second season he played 60-something games until he was out the last 9.
Right. All right.
Yeah. So he played the full season basically, except for 9 games.
Okay. Yeah.
And then this year he pretty much got that knee looked at again.
It's the ACL.
Yeah. They pretty much had to get a foot surgery. And that's something that he didn't want to get at first, I think. So pretty much you got 3 different types of injuries in 3 different years. So at this point, until you decide to do something, and even then, I feel like your body's already took a lot of damage. The way you be jumping, the way you be landing, the way you
that's my issue with him. Is like he plays such an amazing game, first of all, but it's so explosive that he's not skinny. he's not skinny like a D Rose, though. He's not skinny like Westbrook, where like D Rose had reconstructive knee surgery twice in the same year, which kind of pretty much messed up his career. But I mean, now he's actually looking better than he ever has. But as far as Zion, like he has a talent that nobody else could have. Like nobody plays like him. Literally nobody. That's why he's like a generational type of talent, and he looks like the new age of the NBA, new style of the NBA. But he just can't seem to stay healthy. Like you thought that Blake Griffin was gonna change a game like this, and Zion was like Blake Griffin times 2. Mm-hmm. You know, he was like kind of different level, a different guy that could jump. But that's what happens when you jump so high and then you land so explosively on your knees, on your feet like that. It's always a problem. For me, like I thought that getting that CJ McCollum piece was huge for them. Because I think that he was definitely itching towards moving somewhere else at the end of the year. Do I think he's going to stay healthy? I think that next year he's going to show some things. I think a full season of health is going to be an issue for him his whole career. I see him being a player that is going to get around like 50 to 60 games this season. But I do think he's got talent, and I see him honestly going somewhere else and not staying in New Orleans. Even though they got those pieces, they got the pieces in C.J. McCollum, they got Brandon Ingram, they got like some young guys, Devontae Graham. I still just don't see like him staying there. I don't know. That's just me though. But as far as talent wise, he's definitely one of the most talented people that I've seen play in the NBA. I mean, you've definitely seen some games from him where you're like, wow, I never seen that before. I never seen this before. It's just that you could never see it for like a long stretch. That's the only issue.
No, for sure. And I just don't know because, like you mentioned, the C.J. McCollum trade. Mm-hmm. Like I still feel like he still has issues that aren't just physical. Like he got mental issues because the fact that J.J. Redick went on record saying that he's been a bad teammate and not just been a bad teammate. You trade for a top 25 player and you don't even reach out for him.
Right,
For me, unfortunately, leaving New Orleans ain't gonna change that because at the end of the day, New Orleans ain't doing nothing wrong to him.
Right. They just picked him. They just chose him. They had the first pick and they chose him.
Like they didn't like AD. They refused to get that man any help for years. Like they got Brandon Ingram. You have basically put up your part of the deal because you've been injured, and even then they still went and got you C.J. McCollum.
Yeah, so that's a huge piece.
That's a huge piece. You didn't reach out to C.J. yet. Obviously, J.J. Redick's on there ripping his ass on purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
all the things about being detached, not involved in the team, and this was before the C.J. McCollum, and he was like, obviously, he was a teammate with him on his rookie year, Zion's rookie year. So when they were on the things, so he know, and pretty much now he spent the whole season not even training with New Orleans, not even with.
That's my issue. He's not even with the team.
Like exactly. So I think he still has mental issues. He still has physical issues.
Some of that is definitely that. There. Some of that definitely is that. But I just think that, a lot of it is that he doesn't want to be with New Orleans. He knows that that's not the place where he wants to stay. And when you're injured, like, you are kind of detached from the team. But I definitely would agree with a guy that's played the game and J.J. Redick and played with Zion. If he played with him and he saw, like, he was detached, then I would agree with him. I just think that he was just coming into the NBA. He was 18 years old coming into the NBA, and maybe he didn't want to hang out with guys that are like 30 years old, at the time. So that could be one thing. But I tend to agree with the guy that played in the NBA. So my opinion is like, on the back burner there.
I don't know because he's giving me real immature vibes.
I definitely agree with that, but he's only like 20 years old.
He never dealt with losing. His high school was great. Went to Duke with a freaking all-star starting 5. That they all decided to they were the first 4 top 5 top 10 recruits. I was just like, let's just all go to the same school.
Yeah,
and they still didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had them as supposed to be the best team ever not to win.
Yeah, exactly. And now he don't know how to act, and I don't like that because at the end of the day, you are grown. You get paid millions to do this. Like I understand you're injured, but at the end of the day, like JJ said, you're not being a good teammate. You're not doing what you're supposed to do, and that's just at this point, I'm over it.
No, that's for sure.
I'm over the diva-ness in the NBA.
No, I get that. And I think that it should be less diva, but it's turning the opposite way. Actually, the way it is. But I mean, I definitely think he should be with the team, and hopefully that if he decides to stay on this team, I think it's a good core for them. They have a good big three right there. C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and himself. With the young pieces they have, they could do some things in the future. Literally the key piece is him.
Yeah.
But as far as like a kind of a big three, you go from the West and a team that really wasn't doing much, this season, but now they're starting to in New Orleans, to a team in the East that kind of has their own big three. And my man Kyle Lowry bringing back his career, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler and Miami. What do you think about them as title contenders? Do you think that, these guys in the East, they're making some noise now? Everyone else is like moving around in the East. They're the ones that are staying up top. What do you think about them?
Number one in the East, obviously 44 and 23, led by Jimmy Buckets in a resurgent year from Tyler Hero.
Yeah, him too. Yeah,
he actually is coming out great. A great year. I definitely think they're good. When I talk about my teams, I always have my stats to back it up. So we got 7th in 3 points made, 13. First in 3-point percentage. I mean, with people like PJ Tucker, Robinson,
Duncan Robinson,
Hero. We even got a good shooter in Struss, Mike Struss.
Yeah.
Actually, we had him for a little bit. One of the years that we were having issues with COVID, I was a little upset because he was a great shooter.
I know that. Nice.
4th in free throw percentage, 6th in assists, 6th in defensive rating, and 1st in opposing for defense in the paint. They really guard that paint well.
That's good. Yeah, the big man. Yeah.
Yeah, so they pretty much shoot the lights out, guard the paint. Obviously, I think they're serious. When they got to the finals in the NBA bubble 2 years ago, a lot of people didn't take them serious. But since then, they took all the jokes, put their head down, added a couple pieces. Bam has still been doing his thing. He pretty much is 18 points, 10 boards, 3 assists.
Amazing. This year.
He's been stepping it up offensively as well. Obviously, Butler's doing his thing. 21, 6 and 6.
Right.
Hero, like I said, is having a great year, giving you 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but giving you 38% off of 3. Robinson's giving you 11 points, but he's giving you 37% off of 3. Then you got pretty much you got role players, like I said, Struss. Yeah. He's pretty much giving you only 8-9 points, but he's giving you 40%, close to 40% on the 3.
Nice.
Struss give you good.
Over 40% is what you need, honestly. That's good.
No, and then you obviously.
That's why they're one of the best 3-point teams.
Exactly. You got Tucker giving you 8 points as well. He's giving you 43%. That corner 3's been his deadly spot for the last 7 years. You got
and his defense too, of course.
Martin, Gabe Vincent, both of them shooting over 37 and 39%.
I like Martin, honestly. Martin,
pick up.
I think he's gonna be huge for them in the future. Right now, maybe you're not gonna get as much minutes from him, but in the future he'll be big because they might lose guys like Duncan Robinson.
And then obviously you got great defense and Butler, Lowry, and PJ Tucker and Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
Lowry's giving you 13 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. So you got literally, they shoot well, they defend well, they live in by a 3 in the mid range. They love shooting just in general. And honestly, they just been making it work this year. A lot of teams like to do that, but they don't make it work all the time.
All right.
And honestly, at this point, I could see the Heat contending in a 7-game series with almost any team, and that includes anyone that's not top 3 in the West. I think he beats them.
Okay, but so as far as a championship caliber team, do you think they're one of the top 4 teams in the NBA? So do you think they'll get to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think they can, yes.
Because that means that they're at least contending for a championship.
Yeah, because I think they are still going to be top 3, top 4. So I think if they don't face one of those top 2 teams until the conference finals.
So yeah.
I think,
So you know what? For me, it's tough, man, because I think the East is very stacked right now, and especially because we don't really know 100% what the Brooklyn Nets are. We really don't know what they are. We think we know what they are, but we don't know 100% what they are.
We definitely got to talk about that, and I can't wait to see what they bring up.
I mean,
once we get
that's for sure.
Once they get back.
That's for sure, and I mean, especially because if we're looking at it right now, teams like Philadelphia, who knows if they're gonna play a lot better in a playoffs or.
I would still say that they should be at least top 5, top 4.
See, yeah, that's where I think I agree with you, but like top five, but I don't know if they're going to make the Eastern Conference Finals for me. I think that they're playing great this year. I think they showed like exactly what they needed to show because, like you said, they were getting made fun of last year because they weren't playing good at all. Tyler Hero had a terrible year last year, and now this year he's resurging again. Duncan Robinson is back, but I think the reason they're playing good is because they're all healthy, and Kyle Lowry is actually been playing good. Like he is like the East Coast CP3. Like he's resurging his career in Miami, like CP3 is doing in Phoenix. I definitely think that they're going to make some noise, but as far as getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be like Brooklyn and Philly, or Milwaukee and Brooklyn, or Milwaukee and Philly. One of these teams. There's just too much firepower. Yeah. Hey, if listen, the Celtics are looking nice too, man. The last 10 games, they're 8-2, and we're talking in like the middle of March right now. So
fifth in the rankings, number one in your hearts.
The C's, hey, but I don't know. We'll see with them. They got some issues too, though. They got to figure out. So, but we'll definitely get into an episode with them next week, and I definitely want you guys to tune in for that one. But we got some more topics that we want to get into with this one, and what's something else that you want to talk about this week, though?
So we both would say they can get the Heat. They can get into the playoffs, but definitely can't make it to the finals.
I think so. I think we both are saying that they're going to make I'm saying the second round. You're saying the Eastern Conference.
I think they get to conference.
Okay, so yeah, we both got them getting pretty far, but not far enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and obviously we got to talk about two of the teams that more than likely they're going to have to face to get there.
Right.
One of the hot topics is the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers. Trading two superstars in James Harden.
A huge trade.
Ben Simmons. Obviously, there was a little more involved. Sixers got James Harden and Paul Millsap.
Bro, they pretty much got the future. They pretty much got the whole picture.
Picks. Yeah.
But now, yeah.
And then the Nets received Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and then 2 first rounds. So who do you think won that trade?
Yeah, so as of right now, I mean, we're talking about this in like the middle of March 2022, and it's tough because we haven't seen Ben Simmons play for the Brooklyn Nets yet.
He hasn't stepped foot on the court for Brooklyn. Actually, he hasn't stepped foot on the court
at all.
He gave up that open layup.
Yeah, I mean, last year in the playoffs, he not only the open layup, like he missed those free throws that he should have made 2 free throws to tie the game in a playoff series. Misses them. But anyways, let me get back to the question at hand. I mean, the question is, who won the trade? And right now, we could say that Philly won the trade because Brooklyn doesn't have Ben Simmons. They're not at full strength.
Yeah.
But I mean, they just played recently, and the one thing that they're gonna miss, Philly's gonna miss that big man. They needed a guy like Drummond, and Drummond is literally like easily a 10-10, sometimes a 10-20. Like he'll get you 20 rebounds a game sometimes, like no joke. And not only that, like I think that Brooklyn is kind of in projection for me. They're probably the winner of this trade. You got a guy that's gonna get you more assists than Ben Simmons, a guy that can defend, also like a guy that can shoot threes, and Seth Curry that's known for 40% 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
Then you got a guy in Drummond that's easily over 10 rebounds a game, more like 15 rebounds, and easily like 7 to 8 rebounds or offensive rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
The second or third best guy for offensive rebounds in the NBA is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons gets like 6 offensive rebounds a game or something like that, some crazy number. He's one of the best at offensive rebounds. And so you got 2 of the best offensive rebounders now. Now you got shooters all over the court. You got playmakers. I think that the Nets are probably the one that really won the trade in the long run.
Right.
And in the short run, really. I mean, the Philly trade, we'll see what happens with Harden. I mean, Harden likes to switch teams a lot, so if he wants to stay there for the rest of his career, then maybe Philly's going to win the trade. And overall, if they win a few championships with him. But honestly, for right now, I can't really say it because I haven't seen Ben Simmons play, though. But what about you, though? What you think?
So,
what do you got for this one? It's a tough one, though. It's a tough one.
It is a tough who you got. And my who you got is someone who... All right, so who won the trade? 76ers and the Nets.
Right.
Neither. Or both. You know who really won the trade?
Who's that?
Ben fucking Simmons.
Of course.
He won.
Of course. He wanted to get out of there.
That's what I'm saying. He went from no playing to a spot where he shouldn't have. I'll be honest, like, yes, I get the social media or the media comments by his coaches and Embiid, but at the end of the day, he really was and was supposed to be held accountable for the bullshit he did.
He didn't even go up, in press conferences.
He didn't want to run. Like, I was, and then at that point, now you're leaving her teammates who literally are fucking set at you.
Yep.
That you just gave up the best chance they had because they literally just had to sit there and cry the year before when fucking Kawhi had to literally bounce. You know what I'm saying? So now you leave them to answer your questions because you didn't want to answer them. Oh, now you're mad because they threw you under the bus. So no,
I mean,
it was his fault.
For sure, but Embiid still shouldn't have came at him like, oh, he's just a baby. He shouldn't be. I don't want to see him like, he came at him like a little too harsh, like,
No, him and Doc both came at him a little too harsh, but
now, he should have been able to take it. I mean, obviously,
exactly, he's a grown man,
and obviously, he's got like a little issue, and we can let him, deal with that. But here's my issue. Yeah, you were dealing with something while you were in Philly. Now you got traded, and now all of a sudden you have a back injury right before you're about to play your old team. You have a back spasm, as they call it.
Oh no, like, he wasn't gonna play. Like,
I know he wasn't. I know he didn't want to go back to Philly because he was gonna get booed, and he did get booed. And a lot of the reason why he was even on the bench is because they were talking like that report came out that he's got a back spasm. And I don't think he had a back spasm. I think he just didn't want to show up in the game.
At the end of the day, the whole mental injury he was going through in the first place was probably some bullshit. And I don't want to say that, but like, come on.
And I know it. That's true. I kind of tend to agree with you because it ruins it for other people that are actually going through stuff like that. But, it made it seem like he was trying to blame it on something because he said that Ben Simmons said that he told the team. Now, the team came out and said they never heard anything from him until he came out and said this publicly. So
exactly.
You don't know who to believe at this point. But,
I do.
Yeah, I mean,
76ers.
I mean, that's probably the most likely choice. I mean, the most plausible thing to choose is that. But I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because you don't know. You don't really know. I mean, you're probably right though. You're probably right on that. But as far as who wins that trade, I think that the NBA wins that trade because you needed these guys to to be able to be happy to play different places and especially to see Ben Simmons play again. I think he's
well, I'll be honest, I still think that, like you said, Brooklyn won the trade long term, Philly won right now. At the end of the day, Brooklyn they had to have won because now in Brooklyn, he's literally probably with two of the most lethal scorers to ever step foot on the court, even if one of those playing at halftime. Just literally just pure scoreness for someone who can't do nothing when it comes to shooting wise.
Right.
To have those two type of players that have to draw attention like that, definitely is good for you.
Especially a guy that likes getting assists. Like he likes assisting. He loves
and
that.
It's not even about assists, just like they can't give you the most attention. They can't allow you to get through passing lanes. They can't focus on you doing what you gotta do because you got those two people on the court.
Of course.
Obviously on top of that, you still got good shooters now in Steph Curry and Joe Harris when he comes back from injury. So literally that's exactly
when Joe comes back.
That's exactly the type of situation that Ben Simmons is supposed to be in.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it might sound crazy, but they could really play a small ball Golden Warriors type lineup with Ben at the 5 and Durant at the 4 and be absolutely lethal.
See, I'll be honest, I would have Durant at the 5 and I would probably put Ben at the 4. Just because I think Durant is a little bit taller. Like he's got 2 inches on him. I know he's skinny. I know he's skinny. I know, I get it. But if you're playing like a team,
you wouldn't even. No, but I'll be honest.
Like a team like the Lakers and they're playing AD at the 5.
No,
I would have Durant versus KD. I would.
And I would honestly, not one GM in the league would choose Ben Simmons at the 4 over Durant because it's Ben Simmons. He's a way better guy than the 5 at Durant. Like on offense, you could do what you want, but on defense, Ben Simmons is the guy in that center. I promise you.
I mean, when it gets to some of the bigger centers, then it's going to be tough.
That's the whole point. When it gets to the bigger center, you still want Ben Simmons. That's what I'm saying. Like, it don't matter who it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, in the NBA, length don't mean nothing. They will literally put Marcus Smart on the freaking center. It don't matter. length don't mean nothing. So like
Marcus Smart.
Hey, wait, RC. But yeah, so he brings a very much.
See Marcus Smart versus Jokic in the post.
It happened already. That's the point.
I know. But here's the thing, though. Who wins that matchup, though? Like, yeah, it happens.
Marcus Smart won some. That's the whole point. Like, obviously, like right now it's a big exaggeration. But if you got KD and Ben Simmons at 6'10",
I know
it's not 6'11".
You're right. They're both like
Ben Simmons is playing the 5.
They're both tall enough to They're both tall enough to hold defenders down for sure.
But he brings a much needed pace, pushing the ball off of rebounds. Obviously, that's one of his specialties because he can get the rebound and he can push it. That's something that's really lacking. But the only problem is he's probably going to run into problems with Nash. Nash don't like you just standing there or just keeping the ball in your hand. Nash really runs a ball moving type of offense, and you definitely the ball can't be stuck in one person's hands.
That's true. Flow. That's true. Kyrie actually was having problems with that. You know,
and Nash just to play that.
He don't like that.
You have to. That's the only way you're gonna. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize KD already got used to that when he went to the Warriors.
Of course, so he was able to do some ball movement.
That's another thing why Harden wasn't like matching with it too.
Harden likes the ball in his hands. Harden likes
to play hero ball.
Pick and roll. He likes the ball in his hands. That's it. Obviously, shoot those backup threes and stuff. But
exactly.
I mean, for me, I think that in the short term, I think really Brooklyn really wanted to trade because they got the most pieces that they needed. Like they needed that center. They needed another shooter, and obviously they got this superstar, but they needed those pieces, the extra pieces. Like right now, you took those pieces away from Philadelphia. Well, yeah, they got a guy like Harden, but I mean, you lost like those pieces that are crucial. Especially in the playoffs.
No, and then obviously Nets pretty much got everything they needed. Even though they lost Harden with shooting, they still got Seth Curry. They got rebounding. They got someone to push the pace. They got someone who can guard 1 through 5. Obviously, he's their switch-heavy offense or switch-heavy defense. Yeah. So having someone like Ben Simmons who can also run point basically is crucial for that type of defense. So basically, not only do they get players they need, Ben Simmons is honestly the perfect fit for what the Nets can offer, as long as he understands that ball has to keep flowing.
And you gotta keep passing it around. Can't hold that ball. Can't be shooting too much because you got shooters on that team already. You got guys that can hold the ball and they can shoot. So you definitely can't be holding on to the ball. Or you can't be shooting it too much.
So he's gonna have to deal with his points going low. And then like you said, on the other end, giving up Seth, I felt like was a lot to give up Seth and Ben just to get Harden.
But surprisingly, they didn't give up Maxey, which is huge for them. Maxey's been playing amazing.
And that's the thing. Honestly, I kind of felt for them because they were in a tight pickle, had a terrible hand.
I mean, really you had to trade.
They had to try to. No one's gonna take him unless you was giving up something else.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody was.
They knew that he was like a low. It was gonna be a low ball offer because you knew that
no one wants him at this point. Yeah.
Well, not that nobody wants him, but you knew that they were gonna trade him. Like somebody wanted him. Well, but it's just that like he had his destination in mind too. Like he wasn't just gonna go play for like Orlando Magic.
That's the thing. I promise you, Philly was not.
Nothing to Orlando Magic.
Here's what's the thing. Philly wasn't worried about where to trade him. They don't care if they traded him to freaking Russia.
Here's the thing, though. I think
they were trying to find the best package. At the end of the day, no other team was going to offer somebody. Like I definitely
think Rich Paul was there talking about it.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, it definitely does.
No, I promise you, because Philly
there was a few trades.
But listen, Philly literally wasn't going to try to give up Ben until they got something in return. No other team has a James Harden that they need to trade.
There was a few trades in there. Like there was a CJ McCollum trade in there with a few pieces.
That's nothing.
With a few pieces, there was like a.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
a few trades. Like
Ben Simmons didn't decide where he wanted to go. Philly decided, because at the end of the day, you're not playing for us. We're charging you money for not playing us. At the end of the day, Rich Paul had nothing to say.
They were even talking about a possible Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons swap.
And that's fine, but that's not because that's where Ben Simmons wanted to go. That's because at this point, Philly's going to try to get the best that they can get, and that's why he went to Brooklyn, because they offered James Harden. If literally they couldn't get a superstar and they literally had to get him off, and it had to be for
the reason they got James Harden,
Rockets, then that's fine.
The reason they got James Harden is because James Harden wanted to go to Philly because of Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is the GM.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't because Ben Simmons had no choice, and they weren't looking for a good place for Ben Simmons.
I do think that this was more on.
It was because
Harden. This was more on Harden.
The fact that they had to give up Ben and Seth, but that they can get Harden for that, then yeah.
But I still don't think that.
But they were in a
if they
tight
were
pickle.
if they were they were in trade. They're not going to trade to like a team like Magic because I don't
That's
think.
the point. They're not going to trade a max contract player unless they're going to get something back. So that's the point when it comes to
That's
like
true.
they have to get a good player. They didn't care about where Ben wanted.
But as far as cool,
if the Rockets gave them, if the Rockets somehow had a freaking if they say here's Zion Williamson injured Zion Williamson, they would have gave Ben Simmons to the freaking Pelicans.
But still, I think that Daryl Morey and James Harden, they want them to be together again. They wanted,
and that's fine. But it has nothing to do with Ben Simmons.
It wasn't his choice. You're saying it wasn't his choice.
They wasn't even thinking about his consideration.
Right. They were trying to get him out.
Literally, they were trying to get the best that they could do.
Right.
And that's why I said they had to give up Seth to even get Harden, which I felt like was a little too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true though. It was that's a tight pickle they had, but I mean, as far as him though, great point guard.
Well, that's what I'm saying with him. Obviously, like at the end of the day, he's still a top 15, top 20 player.
Exactly.
He should actually complement Joel well when it comes to playing style, but we'll see as long as he don't want to play aero ball because Joel needs to get his work in.
I think he will be their point guard though, as far as like running everything. He'll still average that 10 assists a game easily on this team. On Philly, getting that pick and roll with Embiid, I think the Harden's definitely going to get
no. I mean, right now, in this season, which everyone thinks he had a bad season, which he hasn't, he's literally averaging 22, 10, and 8.
Right. That's a bad season.
And that's a bad season. That 10 is an assist and the 8 is a rebound.
And playing with another guy that averages like 27.
That's what I'm saying, So he was selected to an All-Star game, too. Now, like I said, this will be a good trade right now without Ben playing. Philly wins the trade without Ben playing because they're still showing that they can contend. Being the top in the East. Brooklyn's still looking like trash.
You think that even with them getting beat by Brooklyn?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you can have an off game and Harden had probably the worst game of his career.
Right. And that's what they always say about his bad games, don't they? He had his bad series in the playoffs. Worst game of his career.
Yeah, and that's what you get with that. But at the end of the day, you was getting nothing with Ben Simmons.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So not only were they contending without, that's the whole point. They were literally contending without Ben. I mean, so basically at this point in their eyes, they won the trade because they just got rid of Seth for Harden.
Yeah, it might not for Harden. Yeah.
It might not look like that because they got rid of Ben, but Ben wasn't playing. So in their head, they're right now where they're standing, especially with Ben not playing. Right now where they're standing, they won. But yeah, with the team that they got in Brooklyn, yeah.
I mean, it's scary, man, and you haven't even seen him play yet. It's
exactly.
Scary. But I mean, they just had him beat in the game. So, and this was without Ben. So for me, it's not answered yet, that question.
And that's the thing, too. I feel like they still, with the Nets, or not the Nets, with the 76ers, it's still a lot like, Harden went out there and balling for a few games. But what he brings to the table when it comes to ball handling and shot creation, something they were missing in the Sixers, they have to get used to implementing that now.
Right.
Even more each game.
Gotcha.
And that comes with growing pains.
That's for sure. And that'll take time, but do they have time? That's the thing. That there's just playoffs right around the corner, so.
Yeah, because in the playoffs, and that's the problem that the Sixers had like 3 or 4 years ago. They could do what they want to do, but in the playoffs, they didn't have nothing to revert to. In the playoffs, you can go to that hero ball.
And you didn't have a shooter.
And you can let him play ISO, or you can put it in the post and be like. Exactly. In the playoffs, Ben Simmons can't be counted on to get your bucket when he needs.
Last 6 minutes of the game.
He can't, and then you can double him. You can find a way to stop Embiid. You can't find a way to stop Embiid and Harden.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So
that's gonna be trouble.
They can have the growing pains, but right now, they're looking the best. But at the end of the day, Brooklyn's gonna be nasty. If they can get Ben by playoff time, and honestly, Brooklyn's best case scenario is to stay in the bottom, and they're probably even talking about that. Because then if they could actually try to be the away team in each playoff series, it works out better for them.
I was just going to say Kyrie.
Away, exactly. So they actually might be trying to, bro, let's just make it to the tournament.
Kyrie's going to get the play.
Literally.
It's like a home game for us.
As long as we can make it to the tournament, we don't care about standing. So that might be what they need to do.
That's an interesting idea. I never thought about that, but
I'm pretty sure they're thinking about it.
That's
at this point, I'm promise you, there's someone in that office whose only job is to utilize how much they can use Kyrie.
Man, looking at the numbers like Charlie from all Sunny in Philadelphia, like looking at the numbers.
All they're doing is like, how can we most utilize him?
Well, anyways, from one great point guard, which I think is in Ben Simmons, I think he is a great point guard, to another one in Chris Paul in the Phoenix Suns. Let's talk about them real quick. And what they've been doing this season and about them. I mean, do you think that they're going to be a contender in the playoffs and honestly for a championship? Right now, Chris Paul's out, right?
Yeah, I mean, number one in the West, they have about 15 games left. They probably won't have him for those last 15 games. So we got to talk about how far we think they'll go with that. And if he's not 100% or if he gets re-injured because he has a history of getting injured in the playoffs, how far can they go without him? Basically, how far or how good are the Suns without Chris Paul?
That's a good one.
So yeah, number one team in the league at this point, 48-10, led by elite floor general Chris Paul and prolific scorer, and obviously Devin Booker. Great supporting cast with your lead and DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why I almost thought his name was wrong. Go over the stats. You know I love my stats. 6 in points, third in field goals made, 6 in field goals attempted. They're efficient. Second in field goal percentage. 6th in 3-point percentage, 7th in free throw percentage. They shoot freaking up.
Pretty good.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Second in defensive rebound, 4th in total rebounds, 4th in assists, 6th in steals, 3rd in defensive rating. So literally they are top 10, and basically they're top 6 overall in offensive, defensive, like assists, steals, just percentages. Like
crazy.
They're ridiculously good.
Right.
Obviously, you got that led by Booker, 25 points a game, 4 and 4, 45% overall, 37 from 3.
Nice.
Tatum's giving you 17 and 10. CP3 was giving you 15, 4, and 10 assists with 2 steals.
With the 2 steals too.
Always still with the steals. You know what I'm saying? Reading them passing lanes real good. Bridges is giving you 14, 4. For 36% at 3, and he's also giving you a steal plus. Cameron Johnson's giving you 13 points off of 44% 3. Mincy's giving you 10 points. Payne's giving you 11 points. McGee's giving you 9 and 6, and Crowder's giving you 9 and 5. So you literally got everyone.
Yeah, everyone's defensive ball
overall players that's been playing above their role for 2 years now. Everyone on that bench has just been playing good. The fact that it's a next man out mentality.
True.
Anyone gets injured, someone steps in. Obviously, they're going to be great without CP3, but the real question is how far can they go if they don't have him for a playoff series?
Yeah, man. For me, it's tough. I'll give it to Monty Williams. He's a great coach and a great guy to inspire them. I mean, you saw what he did last year just to get him into the finals. I mean, he definitely inspired them to get in there, and not only him, but definitely he brought CP3 back from the dead. I mean, yeah, he was. A lot of people thought his career was over when he got out of the Clippers. And he literally researched everything he had in his body, got some energy, got that Phoenix Sun, and went out there and started balling the last few years. And honestly, without him, it's gonna be tough. But if he comes back, let's say like the second series in the Western Conference, then I do think that they have a chance to make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
With him, because I don't think that he's the type of guy that you need much time from his injury. This is not a huge injury for him, and he's used to coming back from rehab and coming back right back going 100%, like going 35 minutes a game. So I definitely think that they have a chance to be really hot this year. It's just that the top of the rankings in the West are so tough, man. Yeah, you have them, but I still think that Golden State is so underrated. Like yeah, they haven't been playing good the last 5 or 6 games. When they got Clay back, they're playing worse than without Clay. But I think that once they get their man back, James Wiseman, once they get other guys back, they're still missing a few guys, in their bench. I think that they're gonna probably be the top team in the West to beat as far as playoffs go. So for me, I think that they're gonna make it to the Western Conference Finals because I did have the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, so I'm gonna have to switch it right now to the Suns, and I do think there's gonna be Suns and Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and that's probably as far as I think I see them getting. I don't see them making the finals again. I think a team like the Warriors has a little more firepower this year.
Oh yeah, no. Obviously, like I said, they're definitely good. They got a lot of potential. I like what they have to offer. Without CP3, they're a different team, obviously, even with Booker and Ayton holding at home. But either way, I definitely think that they can make some noise in the playoffs, at least get like one or two series in.
Right,
and
right.
then basically,
Right.
I think they get to the conference finals.
Conference finals, right.
For sure.
But
the only thing they got to worry about is Grizzlies and the Warriors.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Those are probably the only two teams. I mean, other than maybe the Lakers. A lot of people don't even believe in them. Nobody wants to believe in them. Maybe me. Maybe I'm the only one. I think
you might be in LeBron.
Maybe. Because I think that they're a sleeper. I think they're going to be one of those sleepers. I think they're going to be one of those sleepers that are going to win one series that nobody's going to think is going to win. Well, I mean, speaking of the Suns, they are number one in the playoff rankings or, power rankings. No? Oh, they got beat out. Wow.
Guess why?
Who beat them out? The Celtics. Oh man.
Boy, what are you talking about? 17 out of the last 20.
I forget, and they were 8-2 in the last 10 games. So
17 out of the last 20. Celtics are number one. Suns dropped down to number 3.
Wow, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Bucks went up to number 2. Actually, no. Yeah. Bucks went up to number 2. So we got Celtics number 1. Obviously, 17 out of the last 20. Good wins against Grizzlies, Nets, Hornets. Jason's been literally putting up ridiculous amount of points. Wow. Brown coming back from an injury. Bucks starting to roll finally.
Yeah.
Getting a couple wins in a row.
They're looking good too. Man.
They beat the Bulls and the Suns. Giannis is once again MVP category numbers. So he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Always gonna be though, like with his numbers, like getting like 27 and 14.
It's average for him at this point. Yeah. And then Chris Middleton though, that's the big difference. He's finally showing a little fire. Suns obviously without Chris Paul still winning. Cam Johnson's been stepping up in his presence. They haven't really played top-notch teams, but obviously when you got someone like Booker, he's going to keep scoring. So as long as you face teams like Knicks, Hawks, I think they even got a good one against the Heat, so that was a good one. But Cameron Payne's been good for that. Basically 17 and 11 in the absence of Chris Paul. Heat, obviously, only loss this week came to the Suns, but that was without Jimmy Buckets.
Right.
But pretty much they beat the Nets, beat the 76ers, beat the Rockets. So Tyler Hero's obviously scoring a lot, averaging 24.
Playing great, man. Exactly. Back to his final self back in.
Exactly.
Or back to his playoff self
back in.
Bubble. Bubble hero.
76ers at 5th, obviously getting Harden. Still got some things to work with, but they're technically 2-1 with him now because they just lost against the Nets.
Right.
Obviously, Embiid's on the tear. Tyrese Maxey, though, is doing what he's supposed to do as a third option right now, even though it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be Tobias.
Yeah, man. Definitely, but I mean, Tyrese Maxey's been one of those guys that's a surprise all season. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets most improved player. I mean, nobody really knew about him last year, and look at him now, averaging almost 20.
Technically playing out of position because they really had him playing point, and he just wasn't that. He's not a natural point. He's a natural two.
Yeah, definitely a more shooter. Yeah.
Mavs are at 6. They actually been playing pretty decent even with a new team. Luka, like you said, has been on a tear.
Yeah, I mean Luka
5, 10, and 6.
The last 2 weeks, 31.5, 9.7, and 6.3. That's the last 2 weeks. It's great.
And Spencer Dinwiddie's been a great addition, still keeping up his 20+ a game.
Yeah.
On 46%.
Since they got Dinwiddie, they've been 7-2. So
yes, exactly.
That's crazy.
So they've been doing that. 7th, we got the Nuggets. You keep talking about them. Obviously, I think without Murray, they just have no identity.
Yeah.
But honestly, Gordon has been stepping up. Jokic actually doing what he's doing. That's 38, 15, and 10.
Right.
For the last week. While shooting a great percentage. But pretty much, like I said, Gordon's finally stepping up, and without Porter and without
without those
Lowry,
other two, yeah.
Honestly, Denver's coach is looking like a shoo-in for Coach of the Year right now.
Yeah, man. Malone is very nice.
Playoff contention.
Not only him, I mean Joker. I think he should be up there.
MVP again.
I mean, especially the last month, he's been balling out, averaging like almost a triple double. Like he literally almost averaging a triple double, and now he ranks top 10 in points, rebounds, and assists this year for this season. He's got number 1 in double doubles at 54 and number 1 at triple doubles at 18.
Oh yeah, season, so. Literally quiet MVP season. No one seems to care.
And he got 4 triple doubles in the last 7 games. So
fantastic.
Right now he's like
shooting efficiently,
playing amazing towards the end of the season, exactly when you need it. And we'll see what happens with number 2. Yeah,
definitely. 8th we got Memphis. Obviously they lost to the Celtics.
Yep.
But they beat 2 other decent trash teams, honestly.
Right.
But pretty much they just been kind of inconsistent a little bit lately. So they fell down a couple spots down to 8.
Yeah, it's been tough for them lately. That's true. Yeah, but I mean, they started the season 10-10, and then after that they were 35 out of the last 47. So
yeah.
They have been. Yeah, but John Morant still got to give him props for having an MVP type season for being this young.
Oh yeah, for sure. 9th, surprisingly, you got the Timberwolves.
Yep.
Which was surprising because the Jazz was like 4th last week.
That's true.
Last week, and they dropped down to 10th.
That's true.
So
but Timberwolves, they went on like a 6-game winning streak,
exactly.
7-game winning streak, and they almost had an 8-game, but it was a tough game for them.
And that's without D'Angelo and Anthony.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they moved up in the rankings. Then, like I said, big drop down 8 spots. Was the Jazz. Don't know what happened. They pretty much got demolished by the Pelicans, 34-point loss.
They did. And speaking of the Jazz, real quick, there was this huge article that I recently read. It's been around the news lately, but I read it on Sports Astronaut. It was talking about the relationship between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, talking about how they're having a terrible relationship, and who knows what's going to happen next year.
Trash lately, actually. He's the reason why they've been losing. His shooting percentages is bad, while Bogdan's been actually getting more. 11th, we got the Warriors. Obviously, we'll expect from them.
Playing bad, playing them back though.
Losing streak reached 5, but now they're trying to pick it back up, and that's why they're still to be 11th. That's not bad, even though they are technically 3rd in the West.
Right.
12th is Chicago. Rough start to the week. Lost to some good teams in the East, so that's rough when you lose to a team in the East. That's kind of why they've been dropping in the standings, because they're losing to teams in their own conference. But they pulled the win over the Pistons. Still trying to get some healthy personnel under the belt. A lot of injuries, issues over there. So that's something they're trying to work on. But obviously, DeMar and Zach are doing their thing, averaging 25 and 27.
Yeah, they're still balling out.
Exactly.
It's just the other teams are moving up.
The other team, exactly. They're not heading in the right direction. And then we'll just go over
just the last few to like top 15.
Yeah, maybe. We'll do 16 because 16th is actually Nets.
Okay, so but the Nets. I mean, like I said, we know the story with them.
Yeah, we won't even talk about that.
We know the story with them. They're gonna move up, and by the end of the season, I definitely project them to be top 10 in the rankings, in the power rankings. That is.
All right, so then we'll just do the next 3, which is 13, 14, 15.
Right.
13 are the Cavs. Obviously, Darius Garland's having a fantastic fucking year.
Great.
Obviously, the Jarrett Allen's having a fantastic year. Evan Mobley's having a fantastic year. Definitely not where they're supposed to be. And actually,
another Coach of the Year candidate.
Yes. And at 13th ranking, they actually moved up 5 spots from last week. So they're actually trending in the right direction.
Huge.
14th is the Clippers. Dominant win over the Lakers. That's one thing that sparked their power ranking.
Why have they not beaten the Lakers this year, though?
Know,
they beat the Lakers every time this year.
In the last
Yeah.
But then they went ahead and beat the Wizards. Reggie Jackson's having a fantastic week. Walking all over the place. Marcus Morris is back. Dropped 27 points in one of those games. So he's, like I say, having him back is good. So the Clippers should be doing something. And because they're another team that love to live and die by the 3.
That's true.
They love shooting threes. Yeah. And the last team in 15 we have is the Hawks.
The Hawks, and they've been having kind of a tough season. But they've been moving in the right direction now. Finally getting into the play-in spots.
Finally getting his percentage up. Obviously getting his assists up as well.
Right.
But a lot of that's going to depend on Bojan and the rest of that team and how they play as well.
For sure, and also Culver, and that's going to be huge for them. But anyways, that was what we wanted to talk about on this episode. This thank you guys for, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. If you guys want to check us out, if you guys want to watch us, check us out on YouTube and stuff. And, for everybody else, I want to make sure that you guys are asking us questions on social media.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. You know how it is. We love the interaction. We love the fan talk. We getting a lot more into what we're going to do this summer. So definitely, if you want to hear some things, let us know. If you want to interact with us, go on our pages. And pretty much, we hope you guys keep listening.
Sure. So really appreciate you guys again for listening to this episode of Who You Got with
Mello
and Rado. Check you guys next time.
Peace.